Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Post Production Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Verbrugge-Post. And if this is your first time listening, a very warm welcome to you and thanks for tuning in. In this podcast, we discuss the ins and outs of small business entrepreneurship here in the UAE. We break down common and not so common challenges. We look at opportunities that are available. We celebrate each other's successes, and we help pull each other out of those inevitable slumps that we all encounter as business owners. Today, we're talking about those slippy, slidey first few months of easing yourself into entrepreneurship. And I say easing, but most of the time it's anything but easy. In fact, it can be quite overwhelming if this is your first kick at the can. And if you're used to the corporate world where there are separate silos to manage the different aspects of a business, it can be quite jarring. Even for folks who are seasoned business development managers, it can be an awakening. It's pretty straightforward to put your head down and plow through when you're working toward the success of someone else's business. But when it's your own baby, totally different ball of wax. I'll speak for myself here, but I second-guessed so many things when I first began. I sat on my logo for about a week before scrapping it, starting all over again and going in a completely different direction. My first Instagram post was drastically overthought. My website was, and actually continues to be, a complete nightmare. And the list goes on and on and on for me. And listen, I've been in business for over a year here. There'll always be things to do, but as long as you have the basics in place, trust that the rest will come. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how you can take the first few months of business ownership and set yourself up for long-term success by being on the lookout for some common pitfalls and challenges, getting yourself into the right mindset, and putting some important systems in place to keep your head above water. If you're ready, grab yourself a cup of coffee or your favorite cup of something, and let's get into it. So what can you expect in those first 3 months? Well, you'll be learning as you go, so it's bound to be wild. You'll be figuring out what works for you according to your schedule, when your clients are most active, when your online followers, if you have any, are the most active, what they respond to the most, and how they like to be engaged. You'll discover what your administrative task tolerance is. You'll be figuring out your bank account situation and how you actually want to get paid. You'll be trying to figure out whether you need a website or can you just get away with Instagram. And if you need a website, should it be a Shopify website or a Squarespace website or a Wix website or a WordPress website? You'll be thinking about things like to TikTok or not to TikTok. And then you'll be wondering, where do you find clients? Where do you find other business owners that feel the way you feel? Where do you talk to other people about not being able to go to sleep because you need to batch create content? And what is batch creation anyway? You'll wonder things like, do you really need a professional camera to take photos of your products, or can you just get away with your phone? That's a lot, right? I'm going to stop there because the list really never ends. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to say 4 things that you may find difficult at first to adopt as a core belief immediately. But when you have a moment and your brain is calm, I would like for you to sit with these thoughts for a few moments and start to gradually adopt them as core beliefs. The first one is, because most of the things that you see on social media are heavily edited, you will be inclined to believe that everyone has everything all figured out and that their house is immaculately tidy and that their office is perfectly curated with the most glorious backgrounds and perfect little trinkets surrounding them. That is not real. Well, most of it is not real. Most of those perfect backgrounds are actually filters. And I only came to this realization very recently when I spied with my myopic little eye the very faint aura between one of my favorite YouTubers and his immaculate background. Don't get me wrong, Some people actually do have perfect backgrounds, but this particular person had managed to have me completely oblivious for several months. So when you start to second guess yourself because you believe that what you have is not good enough for social media or your website or whatever, remember that even incredibly seasoned YouTubers have filters that are hiding their laundry racks of undies behind them because they live in a teeny tiny apartment and don't have enough space to dry their stuff. Number 2, it is perfectly okay to not be an expert on day one. It is perfectly okay to grow with your business. I didn't start out as an expert on day one at all. There were tons of things that I didn't know. But I'm also committed to being honest with myself and my clients by saying, I actually don't know the answer to that, but I can sure find out for you. And also, I'm quite comfortable telling people things like, this is not in my wheelhouse because it's not something that I've extensively researched, and I don't know enough about it to be able to give you a confident answer or advice on. So I recommend you speak to someone else. And if I can, I'll usually refer them to someone else if I have an idea of who they could speak to. Number 3, it's important to let go of the things that are beyond your control and not hold adverse events that are outside of your control as a reflection on you, your products, or your services, or your business, right? If one of your suppliers doesn't come through as promised on an order that you need to complete your work, it's okay to go back to your client and apologize for the issue. Yes, it'll inevitably have an impact on your ability to deliver. No, it's not your fault. Yes, there is a space for you to make it right or come back from the blunder. You can take a deep breath and come to a course corrective understanding with your supplier, or you can pivot and find a different supplier, or you can try getting by with what you've got on hand in a pinch. I know that you will do everything within your power to remediate the situation, but you must go on by letting go of the frustration so that you can move forward with the solution. The fourth thing is you are going to feel like you are wearing so many hats. And that is because you are. Whether you are a coach or a hairdresser or a jeweler or an artist or a project manager or a virtual assistant, you hold those roles, but you also hold the roles of bookkeeper, marketing executive, business strategist, personal assistant, etc. And on top of that, many of you are parents or spouses or caregivers for family or friends, or even maybe a combination of all of those things. And all of that comes with several hats too, right? When you're a parent, you're also a teacher, a chef, a nurse, a time manager, a taxi driver, a social worker, a housekeeper. It's normal for you to feel like you're losing your mind because your thoughts are going to be pulled in a million different directions. So please give yourself the grace and space and remind yourself that you are actually wearing a million hats and it's okay to feel like you're losing your mind. All right, so how do you deal with all of this without completely losing your mind? Because you will lose your mind, but let's just avoid the complete mind loss situation. The answer is you got to put some systems in place that work for you. And the operative term here is that work for you, not systems that some random person on social media swears by, but systems that fit your brain, your business, and your life. Before I get into the nitty-gritty, I want to make one thing super clear. There is no perfect system. What works for me might be a nightmare for you. What works for a six-figure entrepreneur with a team of 10 won't necessarily work for someone who's just getting started as a solopreneur. The trick is to experiment, tweak, and adjust as you go, right? So, one, two, three, four things here that you can do to set yourself up for success. The number one thing, write it down. Seriously, I don't care if it's in a fancy project management tool or a notebook or the Notes app on your phone. If something is rattling around in your brain, get it out of there. Keep a running list of tasks that you need to get done, but also keep a parking lot for ideas that don't necessarily need immediate action. If your brain tends to go into overdrive at night, maybe try keeping a notepad by your bed. Dump your thoughts in there before you go to sleep so that you're not up at 2 a.m. wondering if you sent that invoice. Number 2, automate the tedious stuff. Not everything has to be done manually. In fact, the more you can automate, the more mental space you might be able to free up. Here are a few game changers that work for me. Use a scheduling tool for social media so that you're not posting on the fly every day. I'm a Facebook and Instagram user, and I find that the Meta Business Suite generally works for me. Now, it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles that using the Instagram app in real time has, but sometimes you just need to move past those fancy things to get the stuff out the door as soon as possible so that you can cross it off your list. The second thing is invoicing software like Zoho Books or QuickBooks to send invoices automatically. If you use Odoo, that also has the functionality built in as well. Automatic invoicing is amazing, and some systems even send automated payment receipts. Third, a filing system that actually makes sense. Whether it's a digital one or a physical one, you need a system where you can instantly find what you need. That means all financial records in one place, clearly labeled. Service reports, contracts, and client documents stored in a way that makes sense to you. If you're a digital person, use Google Drive, Dropbox, or a Notion database with folders labeled by year, client, or project. If you're opting for a physical system, keep it simple. A binder or an accordion folder with labeled sections is better than a pile of papers you swear you'll sort one day. Fourth one is a frequently asked questions section. This saves time when you're responding to potential clients. Anticipate the most common questions and store the answers somewhere accessible, either on your website, in your Notes app, or in a saved document. This way, you can just send a quick link or copy-paste the answer instead of typing it from scratch every time. Win-win! Lastly, email templates for common responses. So you're not rewriting the same email 10 times a week. These are lifesavers for sending quotes or explaining policies, confirming bookings, or running promotions. Templates trim a ton of time off your to-do list. TTTTT. Remember that. If you can find other ways to make your workflow easier, faster, or less stressful, just go with them. There's no exact science to this. You do exactly what works for you and no one else. The third kind of system that I am going to suggest for you is to establish boundaries. And that might come in the form of establishing a closing time for your business. Now, I am the worst offender of this rule. So, guys, don't be like me. When you are your own boss, it's tempting to be available 24/7, but I'm going to spoil something for you. That is not sustainable at all. It's easy to say, oh, I'll just respond to this email, or oh, I'll just respond to this message. And before you know it, your inbox or your WhatsApp app is pinging you with a response, and you get yourself into a full-blown conversation with a client at 11 p.m. Like I said, I'm not going to judge at all because I do this all the time. And I'm happy to, but sometimes I shouldn't because sometimes I really need to unplug and rest. So boundaries. Set clear work hours and actually stick to them, or at least try to. Sometimes you also have to communicate boundaries with your clients early on so that they don't have the expectation that you'll be responding to their queries at 11 p.m. And finally, if you find yourself glued to your laptop or your phone or your tablet late at night because you're just finishing something off, please remind yourself that resting is productive too. You can't pour from an empty cup. Someone recently reminded me of this, and it's absolutely true, so I feel the need to pass on that wisdom. When you feel like your batteries are low, don't push yourself, or you may come to regret it later. Now, once you've put those systems in place and you've set those boundaries, there's one last thing that I really need you to hear, and I can't stress this one enough. Get comfortable with good enough. Perfectionism will slow you down so much in those first few months. Your website does not have to be flawless before you launch. I've been in business for over a year, and if you type in postscript.ae into your browser right now, you will find yourself face to face with a down for maintenance notice. It's on my to-do list, I swear. Your first social media posts won't be viral masterpieces. Please let that sink in. Those viral posts that you see with thousands of likes on social media, those may be the result of years and years of trying and figuring out what works. But most often, it's the result of years and years of hard work, building awareness to a brand and meaningful engagement. And that's the kind of attention that you want for your business, unless you're in the business of sensationalism. Lastly, your branding will evolve. The logo that you have today will probably not be the logo that you stick with over time. The colors that you selected from the cute Pinterest post might not turn out to be entirely you, and that's okay. Everyone starts somewhere, and everyone evolves from lived experience or emerging trends or social influence, you name it. Just be comfortable with what you are in the moment and trust that over time you will polish off your business identity. Done is better than perfect, and the more you put yourself out there, the faster you'll improve. Okay, that was a lot. So how about we do a quick recap? The first thing you got to keep telling yourself is that the first few months of business will feel like a roller coaster. You can definitely expect some chaos, but please don't let it throw you off course. Second, don't forget that social media is a highlight reel. No one has it all figured out, even if it looks like they do. Trust me. Next, you don't need to be an expert on day one. Growth happens in real time. If you trust the process and take it one day at a time, you will find yourself an expert soon enough. Fourth, not everything is within your control. Learn to course correct and move forward. Fifth, systems, automation, setting boundaries are all things that will 100% save your sanity. And finally, perfectionism will slow you down. So get comfortable with good enough and just get out of your own way and start. I really hope that this episode is leaving you with some reassurance and a little bit of clarity as you start or you continue to navigate those first few months. And if you found it helpful, I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Please come find me on Instagram and DM me. I hang out at the @postscript.ae handle there. Do let me know what part resonated with you the most, and if there's anything that you're struggling with that you'd like me to talk about in a future episode. Before I go, I have a little announcement. Over the next few weeks, I'll be taking some much needed time off with family. But don't worry, I've got some short and snappy episodes to keep you company while I'm away. Next week, I'm kicking things off with a quick episode on the books and podcasts that I've found to be the most helpful for me as I navigate my own journey of entrepreneurship. I know that there are so many amazing recommendations floating out around there, but I'll be sharing the ones that I've personally found useful, the ones that have made an impact on my business and my psyche. So if you're looking for some light but valuable listening while I'm away, make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss it. All right, that's it for me for now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you next week for a fun chat about some sweet, sweet literature. Until then, please keep moving forward, one messy step at a time. Bye.